Make it 2 for Tony and Stuart Haas Racing. He came into Daytona first in points, started first, and finished first. But not before an explosive ending that left cars spinning all over Daytona's tri-oval. What a wild race under the lights, and the fireworks were in the sky, but afterwards they were on the ground as well. And Daytona's start-finish line as Tony Stewart made it there first, but not before a wild ending to the Coke 0400. Hello, everybody, and welcome to NASCAR Victory Lane on Speed. I'm John Roberts alongside of Jimmy Spencer, Kenny Wallace, and you know what? They wanted a wild ending to this one. Everybody wanted to see it. The fans wanted to see it, and they got it.
It's called the Firecracker.
Wow.
400. That's why.
Fire.
You know, when you think about a race, and you know, especially here at Daytona, you know you're going to see an exciting race. It was an awesome race all night long. The double file restarts were incredible. Check out this last lap, fans. Kenny, this is incredible. Kyle makes a move what he's supposed to do. He gets by Stewart. Stewart makes a great move here, Kenny.
And right now, we're taking the white flag, race fans, as we call this on the last lap. Now, it looks to me like Kyle Busch is in the catbird seat.
And the thing is, Kenny, notice he gets away from Tony here, but the 48 car gets behind Tony. Now watch this, Dan. Look at the gap the 18 has between the 14, Kenny.
And it's hard for the 18 to go, hey, I'm going to drag the brake. It's hard to do that on the last stop. Here they come, baby. They're training up on him.
And here comes the 48 right behind the 14, which gives him the extra momentum he needs, Kenny, and he's starting to close quickly.
Now the 14 says, I'm going to fake him out. I'm going to go outside. I'm going to go outside. Watch this outside. No, I'm going to go to the inside. Now this sets it up.
And the thing is, you know as a driver, Kenny, you're in the mirror, you're saying, okay, where's he going, where's he going? And Kyle's trying to block the racetrack as much as he can. Tony is all over him. Tony's doing what he's supposed to do. Kyle's doing what he's supposed to do. Now Kyle's, whoa, 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 outside, no, bam.
Man, oh man, look at this.
It looked like that's the situation, Jimmy. You hit it right on the head. That Kyle was doing what he was supposed to do, and Tony Stewart was doing exactly what he was supposed to do, but then it got really wild. Casey Kane in the back of Kyle Busch. Casey gets hit by Jeff Burton, car spinning all over the place. Joey Logano was involved, and we had a big mess.
Now, race fans, as exciting as the finish was, we're all nervous now. Here's Tony Stewart. He's the winner, and everybody seems to be okay, so no harm, no foul.
Just hang on a second. Ever since this double file restart, we've had races like this. Don't listen here. I mean, listen to me here. Be in Chicago next week. I'm telling you, we're seeing some great races, but you know what, fans? This thing here that Tony Stewart has done here, left the Gibbs Racing team to start this thing with Haas. Very impressive, Kenny. 2 wins. He won the Sprint All-Star race. $1 million they're leading the points. He's only didn't complete like 3 laps. And you know what's scary? He is on, over his career, he's always had this momentum after July. He has always gotten stronger.
And the commitment of a race car driver, I can just tell you, or me and Spence can tell you, race fans, when it's 5 to go, I got to tell you, it's a little eerie because we are willing to wreck. We are willing to hurt ourselves. That's what you've seen the last 2 laps. Did you see Kyle Busch in there? I mean, he's all over it. You're on it, baby. It's like, okay, I got disability insurance. If I wreck, I think my seat's going to be okay. You know, the soft walls now, the Hans device, you're not scared. You're like, this is it. I'm going
What's
for
the
it.
trophy?
Yeah, I mean, it's about the trophy. So it's not about anything but getting as far up there as you can. This is restrictor plate racing.
And it's also about a very big trophy that they hand out at the end of the year, also in South Florida. Tony Stewart right now has padded his lead big time when it comes to points, and there's his mentor as a team owner, Rick Hendrick. And once we get to the chase, when Tony Stewart starts that chase, as of right now, he's got a minimum 20-point bonus.
But I want to be very clear. We've been trying to get this point across all year long, myself and Jimmy Spencer. Rick Hendrick considers this one of his cars. Jimmy Spencer, he told us at Pocono, hey, at least one of my cars got into Victory Lane, which was Tony Stewart. So there we got it on camera. Rick Hendrick right away to Victory Lane, one of his team cars.
And the big thing here, fans, is that the difference is that when Tony and those guys did this deal, they're relying on Mr. Hendrick Motorsports to give them the motors and the information and everything that they need to get up and running. Today, the crew chief, Darian Grubb, one of the best, if not the best right now in the garage area, really massaging this thing. I'm going to tell you what, fans, this looks like the team that is for sure a favorite to the championship.
Hey, JR, real quick, Darian Grubb now has a Daytona 500. Yeah. He took over for Chad Knaus as Jimmy Johnson won the Daytona 500. There he is. Now he's got a firecracker 400 win, JR.
So it's a very impressive resume so far. And if anybody thought that Stewart-Haas Racing couldn't get it done this season, well, they're doing exactly that. Getting it done back in victory lane for the second time this season. We'll talk to Tony in a moment.
NASCAR Victory Lane is presented by Travelodge, Recreate, Hibernate, and brought to you in part by Weed.
It's a matter of two American icons, the Daytona International Speedway and the 4th of July. This year, the two of them came together for an all-star shootout as the fireworks were on the track and in the sky as well. In the end, it was Tony Stewart who made it to victory lane for the second time this season, and the team just simply keeps picking up momentum after momentum with every race. Let's now take a look at the first 80 laps of this race, and they were pretty calm by terms of restrictor plate racing.
Well, I guess if you want to say there was not a lot of accidents, but as far as competition and passing and side-by-side racing and trying to figure out what you got to do, there was a lot of action. You know, here you see the start of this race, Jeff Gordon on the outside. Naturally, they started this by the Sprint Cup points because it rained out. But we see Jeff Gordon get a quick lead here, and I'm saying to myself here, Kenny, very interesting. This, double wide right here. Fresh tires, nothing really special here the first few laps.
And at this point, with the new double foul restart, these drivers are saying, where do I want to be? Now look at this inside row coming back, and we will see all night long the leader picks the inside row because the track is wore out. Here comes Tony Stewart, but look at the two-car. Woo!
That looks a little bit like one of those double file restarts, actually.
And there's the guy that's so close to winning on a plate race, and he says, I'm going to show my muscle, but you know who's going to show his muscle? That daggone 11 car. He was strong all night too, Kenny.
And Jeff Gordon goes all the way back to 30th spot. Now he continues this where everybody freight trains him for 2 laps.
You see how quickly you can change positions on this racetrack. Jeff Gordon running second all the way back to 25th. But here is a force to be reckoned with. 2 Joe Gibbs racing cars of Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch.
And that's the big thing, Johnny. What they're doing now is establishing themselves. Yes, it's early in the race, but where can I pass? What can I do? They're learning. This computer brain they're using right now is building the information every lap. Where am I benefiting? Where am I benefiting?
Talk about how fast things can happen here. Look at the misfortune for Mark Martin.
Oh, this just ruined me. I mean, Mark the Kid Martin, I tend to favor him. And now here's what happened. Let's take another look at this. Okay, Mark drives a push. He's thinking, I got my friend Matt Kenseth in the back. Matt says, well, Mark's going to let me go by. Race fans, this is an accident where Mark thought he had room. Matt Kenseth had a run, and they had a wreck.
Tough break for Mark Martin, but a tough break coming up here for Kurt Busch as well as he comes in for the first pit stop. They're saying, woe it down, old buddy, but look what happens.
You just said it, Johnny, the first pit stop. And these guys now, fans, are running 180, 190 mile an hour. And now they got to get that thing slowed down, and they haven't got the timing quite right. Definitely very unfortunate here, cost them a lot of spots.
I like what our old buddy Kyle Petty said about this. He said it's like going from the highway to the drive-through, and here's no kind of a drive-through ride for Casey Mears in the 07.
And I got to tell you, fans, look at this. The car keeps spinning the tires. Something's happened here. These guys are quit using their brakes. They're quit locking the car down. David Stremme gets a little loose, definitely his fault. Catches the 07. But my point about the 07, no brakes. He should have slowed the car down. I don't believe he would have had as much damage.
Get used to seeing this. Tony Stewart overtaking another car for the lead.
Tony Stewart has been incredible at Daytona. He has been the master lately. His car always handles.
And Kenny, here we go. The 11 car early was strong. Here comes the 14. We've got probably a few laps on our tires now. These guys are starting to establish themselves. These are the 2 favorites very early in the race here.
One driver going great as of late has been Sam Hornish Jr. Didn't work out that way tonight.
And at this point, I'm thinking, uh-oh, we have tire problems. And we did with cars that did not have good handling characteristics. Sam Hornish blows a right rear tire.
Now, Denny Hamlin has a 47-race winless streak going on right now. He's about as hungry as anybody out there, and he got out front, led a lot of laps today.
Yeah, and here's fans, this is what I'm talking about. You talk about racing, This is what was going on all night long. This is awesome racing. Too wide, mixing it up, high-low, just like you said, Kenny. They were trying to figure out this double fall restarts. These were very critical. Where do I want to go? What do I need to be?
3 wide, 4 wide, that was going on all night. Now we have 9 cars involved in the first big one. You see where it started.
And what happens here is Casey Kane hits the back of the 12 car. It seems like my friend David Stremme was involved on all the wrecks, but Casey Kane plowed into the back of it. Here's another look. Look, the 9
What'd you
hits the
take?
12.
Bump drafting.
Bump drafting. I mean, it's, you know, the bump drafting's cool, but it ain't cool when it ain't done right, and the 9 just gets into the 12, turns him, causes a melee.
And if you heard a collective sigh from the audience at that time, it was because Dale Earnhardt Jr. was involved in this as well. It ended his hopes for a win.
Yeah, the thing unfortunate here is, I agree with you, Kenny. This bump drafting, it gets out of hand sometimes. Right here, David Stremme, where he wants to be, and Casey, you know, the closure rate, bam, hits him, takes out a lot of good cars. 13 cars involved in that wreck. Junior needed this good run tonight. A lot of those guys needed a good run. Didn't get it because of one other driver making a little mistake.
Jimmy, did you know since Tony won, it's free cheeseburgers tomorrow at Burger King?
Hey, listen.
Give me a Whopper, baby.
It's not cheeseburgers. It's Whoppers. Whoppers, baby. You know it.
Leave it to Jimmy to clear that all up for us here on Victory Lane. We'll talk to Tony in just a moment. Find out what really happened in the Daytona race from the guys who participated in the event. Monday on This Week in NASCAR, Michael Waltrip and Chad Knaus will break down the Coke Zero 400 like nobody else. Hear what it felt like from behind the wheel and atop the pit box. This Week in NASCAR, Monday, 8 Eastern, only on Speed. Let's pick it up with a double file restart on lap number 81. And look at the guys who are strong. They were there all night long, and they're still leading. Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, and Tony Stewart.
And when you say Kyle Busch, here's the Interstate Batteries car. Now you got the teammates of Gibbs is there, the 11 and the 18 together. And you know, Kenny, if I'm Tony Stewart, I'm a little concerned right now. The 11 and 18 get together. Look out. And here's a stranger coming into the old Subway car and Cousin Carl.
Oh, Cousin Carl Edwards. I'd like to point out that Tony Stewart always won out. Now, the 00, David Rubin, what a bummer. A little bit of damage before this. He blows a right front tire, takes a really hard hit, you know, and pretty much tonight is over for him.
And David Rudiman was one of those drivers that was just on the outside of the top 12 looking in. That's a blow to his championship run hopes. But take a look at the 11 as he gets shuffled out a bit.
Well, the big thing here is I don't understand what happened. He doesn't get the run he needs off of 2. And, you know, every other restart, he's been hanging in, and he's not even in the picture no more. Look at this. He just keeps slipping back. And Kenny, something about that inner line just all hooked up together.
And here we go again. Watch the 2. No yellow line. Well, the 2 kind of pushes him down or comes back up. I mean, you know, it's always a call. Okay, 11 goes. Now watch. 2 goes to blocking. Okay, below the yellow line, but let's get back in line. The rule is 11, got to get back behind the 2. But here we go again. You know, did the 2 push him down there?
Well,
yes, but
I'm going to give Kurt Busch a tremendous amount of credit for that.
Oh.
But here David Reagan makes a real blunder. Strong car, this UPS Ford, a strong car. And he just got it. And look, he turned to the right. I'm like, what are you doing, David? Oops. Thank goodness, nobody really involved. It really did mess up Kurt's front end. But David Reagan, you better start using better judgment on them moves.
Kurt Busch, one of the stronger cars throughout the night. They're doing a little bit of extra cosmetic work on the front end of the Dodge.
Well, that was from the bump with the 6 car.
And I got to tell you about this Kurt Busch. This guy, he is involved in everything there is, but what a competitor. Every speedway race, he's always like, there's a wreck, and he misses it. So, I mean, they patch him up, and he keeps going. But he's one of those guys that you think's going to wreck out, never does. What a great driver.
So we saw a race tonight on one of the biggest tracks in NASCAR. How about seeing a race on one of the fastest tracks in NASCAR? Be there when the lights come on as NASCAR Sprint Cup Night Racing comes to Atlanta Motor Speedway on Labor Day weekend. Go to atlantamotorspeedway.com for event information and special ticket pricing starting at just $39. Well, Tony Stewart was the man with the right position at the right time when the checkered flag waved after a wild finish that sent cars flying all over the Daytona International Speedway, and now the champagne is flying in Victory Lane as Tony Stewart is back for the 2nd time this year after a points-paying event. So now let's take you to the finish of this race and show you just how wild it got when it came time to take the checkers. Here we go, double file restart. That's all your leaders side by side at the front of this pack. Takes takes a good lap to get up to speed, but then once you're up to speed, the fun starts.
And I would like to point out that we have quit saying shootout style. The fans have asked for us to quit saying that.
By popular demand.
You have got it. We will no longer say it. But look at this 18, Spence. He's glued to the 14, but the 31 is glued to the 99, but cannot push him.
And the thing here, fans, is now
Look at that.
they know this is getting close to the end of the race. They've made all their adjustments in the handling. But uh-oh, here comes that FedEx car back up front. They're mixing it up with him. Right to the front, he goes underneath his teammate Kyle Busch and pushes Tony on into the lead.
Are you sure we can't say shootout style anymore, Ken?
No longer.
One more time?
So
okay, let's take a look at what happened to Scott Speed. A bad break for him.
The closure rate there got him more than anything. He just, he made a mistake. The guy's under a lot of pressure. He's not performing. And pressure breeds mistakes. And, he made a little mistake here and ruined his night. Thank goodness nobody else really got involved in that wreck.
So let's take one more look at the last lap of this race. It is anybody's race.
Wow.
If you've watched racing here at Daytona, you know anything can happen on the final lap.
I got this, Spence, going into turn 1. The 18 takes the white flag. This is the race to the checker. Now, Spence, right now, we're thinking the 18 is going to win it. We're thinking, is he going to drag the brake? Because the 18 has too big of a lead. Look at this. Here we go to the checker.
This is big, Kenny. He's trying to block all of it he can, fans. He's saying to himself, what is he going to do? You heard the spotter say, he's looking outside, looking outside. Kyle cuts across. As he cuts across, he catches left front fender of Tony Stewart. Bam, he goes in the wall, and this melee comes out. Thank goodness it come all across the start-finish line. No one hurt, Kenny.
And I like to point out, this crew tries to celebrate, then they get back behind pit wall.
Oops.
Because everybody's wrecking.
Better get back.
Good point, Kenny.
Yeah, the officials say, get back across the wall.
Good point.
Three-time champion Jimmy Johnson comes home second. Denny Hamlin, Carl Edwards, Matt Kenseth, and Jamie McMurray all in the top 10, along with Ambrose, Brian Vickers, and Juan Pablo Montoya.
Yeah, Vickers needed this run really bad. How about Kurt Busch, Kenny? Another restrictor plate top 5. But, here's Juan Pablo from a lap down, getting in that little melee with Mark, with flat tire. Top 10 finish, good run for him. Elliott Sadler, another solid run at Daytona. He finished 5th and now 11th. That's great. Regan Smith, good run for him. But David Reagan, after that spin, and comes home 13th. But Kyle Busch, second, leading to 14th, not good.
And a tough break for Casey Kane also at the end as he and Kyle Busch got together. That was a tough break for them, and hopefully Casey's okay after that. Bobby Labonte, Robbie Gordon, Paul Menard in the 23rd spot.
Just give a shout out to Brad Keselowski. His car does not handle very good tonight. 24th spot. That was the same car that won at Talladega.
So there we see Jeff Gordon at 24, all the way back to the 28th spot.
It's Jimmy the Jinx again. That's the problem.
I think so, man.
Jimmy the Jinx.
And how about Johnny the Jinx on Dale Earnhardt Jr., 39th position. Hendrick Motorsports teammates Mark Martin and Jr., 38th and 39th.
And what we're seeing here now, guys, is a big shift in this top 12 in points. Here's David Ruderman all the way back there. And, the thing is that this race was a wild card for a lot of guys.
Ask and you shall receive, Mr. Spencer. Tony Stewart now has a 180
Oh, my Lord.
lead over Jeff Gordon.
Stay home.
Kane
Stay home
is
for a
now
week.
back up. He could if he wanted to, but you got to come and get the check.
553, but what I'm seeing here, the top 4 hasn't changed. Carl's establishing himself there. 150-some points from 5th to 12th, so he's strutted it out a little bit.
Just want to point out that I think in the history, since we've started this race for the chase, I think that is the biggest gap from 1st to 12th we have ever seen.
But Mark Martin, no Jeff Burton. I'll tell you what, guys, I tell you, this is the story.
And here's how quickly things can change with the win for Tony Stewart. That's why that distance is so big from 1st to 12th. And how about guaranteeing the win? Guess who got it done? The number 14 pit crew was about as solid as you could be all night long. They had the first pit stall because of the pole position and being points leaders, and that got them out every time in front. A huge key to the win. We'll be back with Tony in a moment. You have to take a win in Sprint Cup racing any way you can get it, and this one was hard fought for Tony Stewart and the Stewart-Haas racing team, but they are back in victory lane once again, second time this year in the points-paying race, third time overall, and Tony, congratulations. Man, what an exciting finish to this thing, but we understand.
An understatement.
We want to show you now for the first time the last lap from outside of the car. Take us through this from your viewpoint, and also now you can get a really good bird's-eye view of what went on.
Well, he had been working on that move right there to get around us on the outside for a couple laps there, and the good thing was we were able to break him and Denny up here, and having Jimmy Johnson there, who's a fellow Hendrick chassis and engine guy, you know, he had to fight to get to third there, but once he did, I mean, right there, we start backing up and trying to back up to Jimmy right there to try to get a run. So we get a gap here, and you'll see Jimmy gives us a pretty good push here that gets, you know, I thought we were going to have enough of a run, but it pushes us apart right there. We don't get enough of a run to get by, so we start backing up again. And just trying to do the same thing that Kyle did the lap before, just trying to figure out how we could maneuver and get to a spot where we could do something. And, you know, you can see us kind of going forward and backwards there, and that's jockeying. There's no running wide open right there. We're all just trying to figure out. He's trying not to let us get a gap, and you know, we get a really good push from Jimmy here in a second, and you know, we're close enough right there. We get a move, but we get to these outside right here, and we're just going opposite directions. So, but you never want to see it end like that. I mean, that's something where Kyle had a chance to win the race, and you know, no matter what direction we're all going, you don't want it to end like that.
But it looks like a situation to us, Tony, and you've just seen it for the first time. It looked like a situation to us where you were doing what you had to do to win the race, and Kyle Busch was doing what he had to do to win the race.
Well, you got to get on their quarter panel. I mean, that's how these cars get the side draft, and you got to tuck up there really tight. But you know, it's no different than the big ones that have always happened here. It's always two guys going opposite directions. But you know, Kyle was the guy that we kept lining up on the inside with majority of the day and picking him as a guy that we wanted to restart behind us. And you know, it didn't matter who it is. You just don't want that to happen to anybody. So you know, I wish I knew what I could have done different to keep that from happening. But you know, at the same time, I'm proud of our guys. I'm proud to get Burger King their first win. And you know, our guys had awesome pit stops today. Every pit stop we came out leading. The whole day, no matter where we came into the pits. So I'm really, really proud of those guys and proud of Hendrick Engines, and especially our body shop at Stewart Haas. They really did some things and took some extra time on this car, had some luxuries with it that we wouldn't normally have on a week-to-week car. So just the attention to detail that they put into this particular car was unreal.
Mine, I get a Whopper with cheese.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, it's
Jimmy,
good.
there's no way
you're asking for food.
There's no way that he's not going to get a Whopper. I mean, that's the biggest sandwich they got. So he's not going to get something any smaller than that.
All right, thanks. Smoke, real strong car from the drop of the green flag. But you know what I heard tonight all night long from you and from other guys, the car's really loose on the start, then it gets tight at the end. Explain that to me and the fans.
I never really got loose at the beginning of a run. You know, the very first practice, we were really, really loose 2 days ago on Thursday. And we tightened the car up, and we never got it freed up from that point on until the end of the second session. And I mean, we had the rain come and delayed the start of the second practice, and I was worried because I knew we needed that practice. And right at the end of we got the balance pretty good, but keeping track position was big. To you know, stay in the first 2 or 3 spots was a big asset today. And being able to keep our balance and work our balance, you know, up front like that. So, but we had a car that was drivable. We had a car that, you know, one point of the race we moved to the outside when Matt Kenza started moving. We moved and found a spot on the track that we actually picked up time. We weren't having to lift down the gas, and we actually went by Kyle and went by Denny on the outside, and that was something that I didn't expect to see. So, you know, we had a car that was very drivable all night, and we were able to keep good track position. So, just really proud of all of our guys. Jeff Mendring, you see there on the right. I mean, him and those guys have done an awesome job to, you know, to have us consistent every week, and that's what we got to have right now.
Okay, I got to brag for a minute. I picked you to win the race.
That's right, you did.
You know what? Early in your career, you wore the black hat. You were the bad guy. You're wearing the white hat now. I mean, you are the fan favorite now. And I want to talk about your emotion real quick. I know you personally. You're a great person. But you're upset. I mean, you won the race, but you're upset what happened after the race.
Well, I just, you know, you don't like to win it that way, and it doesn't matter whether it was his fault or my fault or anybody's fault. You hate to see him finish that way. I mean, that's not what the fans come to see. I mean, I don't think that's what they come to see him.
No.
And to have a guy that you know, ran in the top 3 or 4 the whole night, and then to see that and you know, collect Casey Kane like that, that's not what you want to see.
Tony, you know, it probably doesn't matter, but you didn't do nothing wrong.
It's Daytona.
You just
did. Plate race, and
it was a great race. You're a good man.
Yeah, baby. You got the win, you got the check, and the points position right now looks great heading into the championship run.
Proud of that.
Congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
And Bank of America wants to say a special congratulations to Tony as well as congratulations to Tony Stewart from NASCAR Banking, only from Bank of America. And now Tony Stewart has a huge points lead headed into Chicago. Welcome back to Victory Lane from the Daytona International Speedway after the July race here. It started off as a very hot day, ended up with a pretty hot finish as well under the fireworks here at Daytona. Now, for a guy who hasn't been a crew chief for very long, Darian Grubb's resume is getting better and better. Won a Daytona 500 in a substitute role. Now you got the July race here, the Coke Zero 400. Congratulations, Darian. And I couldn't imagine, from your point of view, watching that final lap, what is it like? Do you leave it in Tony's hands? Do you talk to him? Or do you just hope?
Absolutely. Just leave it in Tony's hands and just see what he can do. He's one of the greatest speedway racers out there. People really respect him. We were up front all night. We knew we had a fast race car. We were just hoping to be able to get that push, and Jimmy Johnson was able to get up there and give us the push. So I really got to thank him for doing that. Good basic teammate help right there. He gave us the big push, got on the outside, and Kyle tried to come up and block, but that's the typical speedway racing you're going to see. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's going to be a crash on the last lap pretty much every time because everybody's going for the win so hard.
Darren, congratulations. Got to have a little bit of fun. You know, at Pocono, it was, this team has never won a race. At the All-Star race, this team has never won a race. They don't even know how to spray champagne. They're professionals now.
They're getting pretty used to it. It's pretty cool to watch. These guys are getting a little comfortable being up there, and I hope they can keep that up.
So what about those pit stops? That was a little out of hand. First out of the pits every night in practicing, or what's going on?
Guys have been working so hard. Joe Piet's our pit crew coach. He's worked so hard with those guys. Anything that they've had an issue on, they have stepped up tenfold to be able to improve on anything that they've had a problem with. And they didn't miss a beat tonight. I got to give them hands down. #1 pit crew all the way around, everything that they did tonight.
You know, Darian, all night long we heard loose and tight and all kind of different scenarios, mainly at the start of the run, loose, and then, get tight. And Tony had said that when you guys unloaded Thursday, very, very loose, and you fixed it from that point on. What were some of the adjustments that you made? Because, yes, you had track position, but yet you still could keep the lead.
Yeah, we pretty much messed with everything. We were doing track bar, wedge, air pressure.
How big are changes?
Actually fairly small.
Okay.
With Tony's feel, he was able to give us really good feedback on what he wanted, how loose he was when he was in the lead, how tight he was when he was behind someone, and what he needed to get around guys and be able to stay on the bottom. He was one of the very strongest cars, I thought, just watching all night long, being able to stay on that bottom line, do whatever he needed to do to maintain that position. A lot of guys could push, a lot of guys could not, but anytime we feel back, I think the farthest we fell back was 5th, so that's pretty impressive to be able to run up front all night like that.
Hey, Darian, we know you don't start a Cup team with a guy like Tony Stewart and expect to go out and run 35th every night, but is this performance even beyond your wildest dreams when you started this thing, knowing how intense the competition is, that at this point, halfway in the season, you guys are way ahead and winning races?
Absolutely. You got 43 guys out there every week that are just trying their hearts out to go out there and win races. We've all got really good equipment. The box has gotten so small what we have to work with, but I think all the extra effort and all the desire that everybody has here, wanting to go out and prove themselves, that Stewart Haas is a race-winning organization and we're going to go out and try to win that championship, I think that means a lot for how hard they work.
Darian, you have a 180-point lead now. Do you copy what Jimmy Johnson and Chad Canales, are we going to see some testing from you now, like at some of the races that will be in the chase? Obviously, Chicago will not be.
We've been kind of doing that all along because we really don't know what Tony needs in a race car yet on a lot of these tracks. So everywhere we go each week, we try to make one more step of an improvement. Does he like left front camber? Does he like this spring? What does he like as far as rebounding the shocks and all these things? So we're testing every week. We push the limits just a little bit more to see how much he can take for the adjustments. And I think we're obviously showing that improvement as we go along and keeping him up front even longer and longer.
You know, going back to Loudon last week, I mean, did you learn something from there? Because that is a racetrack that you're going to go in for the championship.
Absolutely. We took 2 basic setups up there that we wanted to try based on all our simulation work and everything. We tried them both in happy hour, and they were both just about as fast. So we were able to take the best parts of each one, take them forward into the race. We ran really good up there. Got bit a little bit by the rain and fuel strategy and everything as we go, but it was a lot of fun to be able to go back and say now, all those things worked. We know what we were lacking a little bit, and we know what was helping in happy hour, so we can take a few of those things forward.
You're living a dream right now because you got everything in order. Good job, Darian.
Nicely done. Darian, congratulations. Great win tonight. And I know it was a hard-fought one and a wild finish to boot as well. But keep up the good work over there. You guys are doing a fantastic job.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
All right, winning crew chief Darian Grubb. That's 2 points wins and 1 all-star win so far this season for this new Stewart-Haas race team. And anybody who doubted they can get it done are being proven it's going the other direction right now. Next week, NASCAR and Tony Stewart and company take on the Windy City as the race to the chase heats up in Chicago. Only Speed delivers a weekend of coverage this big. It all begins Thursday at 4:30 Eastern with NASCAR Live. Welcome back to Daytona's Victory Lane, everyone. And it's simply a fact of life that you need friends and teammates out on a restrictor plate racetrack if you're going to win. So teammate to Tony Stewart, in a sense, Jimmy Johnson gave him the push that he needed. So Jimmy has maybe a little bit of pride in this victory, but also he has a second-place finish to show for it. Let's go to Randy Pemberton.
Well, Jimmy Johnson comes home across the stripe in second tonight. Nice points night for you. Only 14 points now outside of second, right behind your partner, Jeff Gordon. Tell me about your night.
Yeah, we had a great night, great race car. I think that between the 14, the 11, the 18, and us, our cars were all so equal, and we could really pull away from the whole draft at times. So that was really impressive. We needed more cars in that mix to really make something happen, and I was able to give the 14 a huge push off of 4, and he was able to get up there and start mixing up with the 18, and eventually they hooked the bumpers, and around the 18 went, and off Tony went to the stripe. So exciting race. I'm very, very proud of this race car. We have struggled at Daytona for the last 2 years, ever since the COT has come out, and we really hit on something here tonight, so I'm excited for the future.
For so many years we came down here, even with the COT, and it seemed like you guys were bunched up. Nobody could get away. Tonight it seemed like you were able to jump out there 4 or 5 guys. What was the difference? Tires?
You know, this one, the temperature being up. 2, this car is just really hard on tires. I mean, that's a good and bad thing. Some tracks, you know, like India was a bad thing. Here it's a good thing. It makes handling a premium. So it's just the fact that this car is slipping and sliding and just wearing those tires out.
Jimmy Johnson survives the Coke Zero 400. Something a lot of drivers can't say they did here tonight, and he survived it in style with a second-place finish.
So Jimmy Johnson showed true championship positioning once again. Kenny, you know, you can't win all of these races, but if you keep getting second-place finishes, that's why you become a 3-time champion.
Well, you know what was interesting to me was Jimmy Johnson saying, look, we haven't been able to hit on anything with this new car. So, Spencer, that's not a real Whopper.
Could you wait to eat until after the show is over?
I'm trying to
Tony told me it was real. It ain't real?
It looks
not
real to me.
real.
If it was real.
It's got extra pickles and onions.
As you were saying, Kenny.
Jimmy Johnson.
A Whopper.
I like
That was
Whoppers
just really
too.
bizarre.
That was funny. Jimmy Johnson, what I liked about what he had to say was that, you know, he has not been able to get a handle on this car of tomorrow, new car, 2-year-old car, whatever you want to call it, at this racetrack. He says they come on to something, and he's excited about the future. You got to remember, Jimmy and Chad have been down here in the past one. Daytona 500, been very dominant. So look out now, because that was the most interesting part of the interview is that, hey, they found something. They ran in the top 5 all night long.
And the big thing here, big points night for Jimmy. Don't forget, fans, 4. He's going for the 4th championship. He already has some wins. He needs to get the knowledge that he can come and get this 4th championship. He knows the guy he raced tonight, the 14 car, is the car. Believe it or not, he's going to be racing for this championship.
His teammate.
His teammate. Well, so-called.
In a sense. In a sense.
You know, but the thing is that him and Chad, like you said, you know, getting along very well, very strong. They will be tough for the Sprint Cup again.
Now, Tony Stewart's former teammate, Denny Hamlin, led a ton of laps this evening and also had a shot at the win. But as Denny and any other driver will tell you, a 3rd-place finish is not bad after a wild ending to a race like we saw tonight. Let's go back to Randy.
Well, Denny Hamlin with a nice 3rd-place finish here at Daytona. I guess it really looked like you and Tony were the class of the field. That was a hard-fought race. Take me through that for me, Denny.
Well, I had to make a decision right there, coming to the white, whether to help the 18 or go for the win myself. And pot odds, maybe I should have gone for it, and you know, it looked like whoever's in the lead was going to be in trouble right there. But I'll tell you, it's just it was a good day for a whole FedEx Office team. I hate that about Kyle. I mean, he had a car was up front all day, just like ours. But you know, it's just one of those things where those 2 guys were going for the lead with 100 yards to go, and that happens. But you know, I made the decision to help Kyle right there get by the 14. I felt like it was important for Joe Gibbs Racing to have a win. stuck with him, and just didn't work out for him.
Well, you know as well as anyone, anytime you come down here, if you come out of here with a third-place finish or a top 10 for that matter, that's a good points day, and it's a great night for you.
It is a good night. We love to get a win. We really deserve a win, but you know, we were in position. We just couldn't get the help of the 48 right there on that push on the restart. And I knew he wasn't going to help me too much get around that 14, but you know, it's just we did pretty good with the cars we were dealt.
All right, good race tonight. Denny Hamlin comes home third, continues to be sixth place in the Sprint Cup Series point standings.
So, Randy, that's the big number right there. A long winless drought for Denny Hamlin right now. The wins keep eluding him, but not the good performances on the racetrack. That's why he's in championship form.
These guys are really good at what they do. And if you heard what Denny said there, he said he knew that being in the lead was not the right position. He knew that they were shuffling. You heard Jimmy Johnson say similar things, and he helped his teammate. But the point is this is what you do in this race. You start planning. You saw that the 11 and the 18, the 14, the 40, they were the strongest cars all night long, 17 right in there with them. But my point, Denny Hamlin knew where he needed to be. He knew what he had to do. And the key here is this is what they do. This is why the race is 400 miles. They build that information, and we have a great finish at the end. Good run for Denny. He does deserve a win on a plate race. Keeps running like that, he'll get one.
You know, when you're running up front, you're driving along, you're like, I'm leading the race, and people are like, oh, you're a tremendous driver, you're unbelievable. But I can tell you, and I'm sure Spence can too, when you're leading a race, the car's easy to drive. Now, when somebody's bumping you, you've seen Kyle Busch coming off turn 4. Okay, now it's pretty tough. But they're out there logging laps, race fans. They're like, man, those guys can't keep up with me. That's how easy it can get. So what's going on is Denny Hamlin is going, oh, man, that's my teammate, Kyle Busch leading this race. I'm going to try to push him into the win because we're a team. He makes the decision, sacrifices himself, because he knows if he pulls out, he's going to get shuffled back. What a tremendous situation he had to be in to go, okay, I'm going to go out of line. I'm going to push my guy up in front. He's going to get the lead. I'm going to tell you what, if you watch that replay right there, going into turn 1 after the white flag, he's cleared back to 6. What a tremendous job him coming back to finish third.
So we are now halfway through the 2009 season, and Tony Stewart has a pretty dominating points lead right now and 2 points wins under his belt as a team owner. 160 laps in the book, and the number 14 is P1 on this Colossus, the Daytona International Speedway.
Is that a word?
NASCAR Victory Lane is presented by Travelodge, Recreate, Hibernate. Brought to you in part by Ford. Different is good. Drive the Ford difference at your local Ford or Lincoln Mercury dealer. And by NASCAR Banking, only from Bank of America. Your debit card, your credit card, your driver. Learn more at the Bank of America Banking Center today.
Welcome back to Daytona, where tonight we witnessed the third plate race of the season. And so far this year, Kurt Busch is the only driver to have top 10 finishes in all 3 of the plate races. And although his plate win has still eluded him, he is still in the top 5 tonight with a great finish and back in championship form. Let's go back to Randy.
Well, Kurt Busch survived a wild finish here at Daytona. Kurt, glad you were in front of that one, and I'm sure you are too. You come out of here with a 5th place finish, still 4th in points. That was crazy at the end.
It always is here at Daytona. It feels like every man for himself, and you just got to get to be in position, and we're just a little behind for that lead battle, but to come home 5th, we'll take it. We had a little bit of damage today on the Miller Lite Dodge, but all in all, we just kept digging, kept fighting, and finished 5th. We're happy with that.
When did you feel the worst at this point in this race? Like, I may not get a good finish here. Was there a point?
Yeah, we had a right front tire shred apart, and we went from just running good to dead tight. Guy came across our nose. We got some nose damage, and just felt like, man, we were going to be along for the ride after that. But we made repairs and fought our way up.
Okay, Kurt Busch finishes 4th tonight here at Daytona. Make that 5th.
You're right, Randy, 5th, but 4th in the points. Or 5th in the points. 4th in the points. The big thing here is that this guy runs so well on the plate races, but this is Roger Penske's team back where it's supposed to be. This team has really, really come to life. They've won in Atlanta. They've been a factor in a lot of races. Last week at New Hampshire, here tonight in the Firecracker here, the Coke Zero 400. The thing here is that this team, I've said it all along, these 4 guys, the 14, the 48, the 24, and the 2, they're the favorites to win this Sprint Cup. Kurt, very emotionally happy after the end of this race, Kenny. Pretty big. with only 8 to go for the chase.
You know what comes to my mind is you stop and think about, his teammate a year ago, Ryan Newman, wins the Daytona 500. Who pushes him to the win? Kurt Busch. So the restrictor plates for, the Penske cars have been there over the last year. As far as Sam Hornish, David Stremme, they're right there in the middle of the pack. I think the difference maker is this Kurt Busch. He's like this in the car. He's just always all over the place. I'm going to make it. He's up there. Never wrecks. If he wrecks, it's because somebody else. I mean, the guy, he dodges bullets all the time. He wheels it. Hey, Spence said it perfect.
He wheels it.
He wheels it. And he never gets in a wreck. I mean, yeah, he'd have patched the nose up, JR, but I mean, that wasn't his fault.
Great team effort.
Well, the last time Carl Edwards' team put together a win, it was in Florida, but it was in South Florida at the last race of last year. It's surprising to a lot of people that Carl Edwards has not won yet this year, but he's been awful close, including tonight with a top 5 finish. Here once again is Randy Pemberton.
Well, Carl Edwards survived just a wild race, as did everybody in the top 5. Carl, it seemed like you had one of the best cars in the field, and you were able to bring it home 4th. How'd you look at tonight?
I didn't realize we were 4th. Yeah. I thought we were 5th, so that's good. Tonight was great. I got to thank Subway, all the folks that supported us, Aflac, Ford. Well, let me tell you, that last sprint to the finish, I was really concerned about Kyle. I saw the right side of his car lift off the ground, and he hit the fence, and man, that's a hard hit. But I guess, it's exciting. The fans are all pumped up about it, but I was real nervous for him. Just glad we got through there and nobody hit him. I hope nobody hit him a second time, but just a wild event.
Seemed like a different kind of a race tonight. Was it because of the right side tires? You guys were able to string out a little bit.
Goodyear almost brought the perfect tire. It was really great last night. Tonight, it's coming apart a little bit too much heat, but they were real close with the tire. And if they can get that right to where the tire gives up like that, and we can start racing, and slide jobbing, and that's fun. I really had a good time tonight. Other than the tires blowing out, it was perfect.
Congratulations on a solid night. We'll see you at Chicagoland. Carl Edwards finishes 4th tonight in the Coke 0400.
Well, Randy, here's where the fun begins. Look at the cutoff after 12 and 6 through 15 in points right now. This is a very tight race.
Uh-oh. That's what I say. Uh-oh. You know why, race fans? The difference between Casey Kane and Mark Martin is the biggest one I have seen this year, Jimmy Spencer.
We saw earlier in the day it was 3 points, 6 points, 4 points, 2 points. It's starting to separate. The thing is Jeff Burton had a good night tonight, but you know what? He got caught in that wreck and a flat tire. Didn't help his chances. But this is with the Story fans. This is it heading into Chicago, baby. I'm watching this. I don't care who's leading this chase right now. This is where it's at, Johnny.
As quick as you can get into the top 12, you can also lose those positions as well. And we want to say congratulations once again to Tony Stewart for a huge victory here at Daytona on the 4th of July. Now, for more on this race, you'll want to tune into Twin tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. But as of now, let's take a look in the rearview mirror.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
We are underway! The unknown is unexpected tonight.
Extra hot today.
50 lap force. Woo! Patriot all the way!
There he goes! He goes! Bush in the wall! Here comes Stewart to the checkered flag!